8 people trapped. 8 people isolated.
She's driving me mad. She's driving me mad.
8 people afraid. 8 people angry.
Still doing it. Just stop it. Stop talking. Stop it.
7 people trying to survive. 1 person trying to kill them all. Hi, I'm Danny, and I think that television is a weird space for horror.
Boo.
What I mean by that is that when you're watching a horror movie, it's basically a single experience from start to finish. The movie starts, the tension rises, and then it climaxes and the movie ends. However, with television, I think it's trickier to get someone invested in a horror experience, because it's harder for someone to be immersed in the world of the show while waiting, in some cases, years in between seasons. That's why I think stuff like Black Mirror or even The Twilight Zone are so effective and successful. In most cases, each episode is its own little world, with its own introduction and idea that you can get invested in. Even stuff like the treehouse from horror in The Simpsons gets this right by having each story be a what-if scenario. Even if a show is not an anthology, I do think that making a horror theme episode more standalone has the benefit of it's standing on its own as a piece of horror. And if you ask me, I don't think I've ever been more scared of a single episode of television than 2008's Doctor Who episode, Midnight. Doctor Who is a science fiction franchise that has existed in at least one medium since late 1963, so trying to explain what the show is about to a non-fan can be...
Thank you, whoever you are. I think you have just saved my life.
A little overwhelming. But like I said before, this episode is very standalone. All the pre-required knowledge you really need is that the Doctor is an alien who uses a time machine to visit a different location basically every episode to have fun adventures, usually accompanied by a human or two. Now, I would like to speak about the Doctor Who season that came out this year, so please skip to this time code if you don't want to hear a minor spoiler. But in the 26th of April of this year, the episode The Whale came out. Midway through it, it's revealed to be a sequel to Midnight.
What was the planet called?
It was called Midnight.
I've been here before.
I don't really want to talk about The Whale in this video, I just think it will be weird for me to not bring it up. So yeah, it happened, but it doesn't really change anything I have to say about Midnight in this video. Let's talk about the scariest television episode ever made. The episode is set on a planet called Midnight, a planet made entirely out of diamonds that kills any unprotected life that touches it due to the sun's radiation. So obviously a luxurious spa has been lowered into the planet from orbit, and now the Doctor is going on a trip to the Sapphire Waterfall, one of the spa's tourist locations. Right from the start, the setting gives the feeling that at any point, something could go wrong, while making you want to see more of it. This early part of the episode is more interested in introducing the setting and characters, which is a sort of double-edged sword in an episode this standalone. Yes, you could think of these scenes as taking time that could be used for more spooky sequences, but if you didn't care for the characters or had a context to who they were, those scenes wouldn't be that scary in the first place. However, the episode manages to mitigate this issue somewhat by making the characters somewhat stereotypical. You probably met at least one rebellious teenager who fights with his parents all the time, just like Jethro and his parents Cliff and Val. Or maybe you've met someone like Didi, who is clearly smarter than her boss the professor, but is too shy to speak up. Add in a hostess who speaks mostly in corporate jargon, and Sky, a recluse who seems more interested in reading than socializing, and you have a cast who are easy to understand and empathize with for the rest of the episode. However, we do get some forms of subtle foreshadowing that something is amiss with the cruiser, like when the captain is speaking to the passengers. He says that the ship is going on a detour due to an issue with the original path, and says that this new path will take around 500 clicks, the episode's science fiction term for distance. But later on, when the characters spend time hanging out, we get title cards that show us that the ship has traveled around 700 clicks. This detail foreshadows that something is going on outside, as if something is taking the cruiser in different paths to who knows where. Before any of the characters can notice this, the cruiser stops dead in its tracks, something that technically shouldn't happen, and the Doctor, being the Doctor, decides to take a look at the cockpit, where every system in the cruiser is working as it should. It just stopped without apparent reason. The driver has called for a rescue ship, so they will be rescued within an hour. The Doctor, being adventurous, proposes to lower the shields momentarily and take a look at Midnight, After all, the cruiser's shield should allow them to view the outside for at least a couple of minutes. At midnight, it's beautiful. For the first time in history, someone is watching it, and it's glorious. Until Claude, the mechanic, sees something. We are never shown exactly what he saw. The shot of the outside is the same both times we see it. But Claude saw something, a shadow running towards them. That's the best description he can give. But the radiation is increasing, so the shields go up. And the doctor is told to return to his seat. As the doctor returns, the rest of the passengers are trying to understand what's going on. Sky is very upset about the delay, while the professor is worried that they could run out of air. This causes everyone to start freaking out, and this is the real introduction to the main concept of the episode, and the key that makes it so effective, the way misinformation causes fear and mass hysteria. But the doctor is able to calm everyone down, so that Didi can explain that the air is no issue.
It's just that, well, the air's on a circular filter, so we could stay breathing for 10 years.
So everything is okay then, right? At this point in the episode, we've been told repeatedly that nothing can live in midnight. No life form can survive the outside. So then, what's out there? The professor is sure that it can't actually be a life form, but something is making those noises. So when they start moving from one side to the other, and even tries for the door, the rest of the cruiser are convinced someone is outside, and that someone wants in, and no one is more scared than Sky, who has a full-on breakdown.
What the hell's making that noise? She said she'd get me. Stop it, make it stop.
I'm gonna talk about this a lot in the video, but the directing of the episode, done by Alice Troughton, is just incredible. Even when it's just simple stuff, like this shot of Sky walking away as everyone is looking at her, showing her back to the audience so that we can't connect with her, but also making us feel her paranoia by making every other character look at her and thus us like we are the freaks. And then the next shot follows the POV of the banging, as Sky looks small and scared while she repeats, we can only watch as this woman breaks down and drowns in paranoia. Once the doctor finally tries to save her, it's already too late. Sky as a character is very much in the background before this. Like I said before, she seems more interested in her book than anything else. So seeing her have such a loud breakdown is surprising and disturbing to a certain point. And the episode will continue to deform this first impression we had of her to create tension. When the hostess tries to find out what happened, we discover that the driver and the mechanic have both been vaporized in an instant. So the thing that was outside killed those people, but now whatever that thing was is inside, and it looks like Sky. And just look at that shot. The body language, the music, the lighting, all come together perfectly to create a sense of dread at what is just a woman's face. Look at those ice cold, dead eyes. They create an extremely effective sense of dread by being so unreadable and animalistic, all thanks to the perfect performance by Leslie Sharp.
Sky.
Sky?
From now on, every line of dialogue in the episode is then repeated by Sky, even when there are multiple people talking in the same scene, and it gives every scene an added sense of tension. No one knows why she's doing this. No one understands what's going on with Sky. Hell, no one knew Sky, but there she is, repeating. Sky shows no facial expression, she has no body language, and every word she says is repeated from someone else. So it's literally impossible to communicate with her in any way humans can understand. And that's the secret to the horror of the episode. These people are trapped with someone who is completely different than them, someone they are incapable of communicating with at the most basic level. But at the same time, she's just sitting there, staring at them. This starts driving these people mad, so mad that not even the doctor, the charismatic natural leader, can calm them down.
666.
666. say. Make her stop.
After that, Sky's repeating gets weirder.
Doctor, I know.
She starts talking at the same exact time as the person speaking, but if her copying abilities are getting better, does that mean she's growing in strength? Is she a threat? Are these people in danger? If she jumped at them and ate their face, that would be one thing. But the anticipation and the fear of not knowing is driving them mad. She's just sitting there. What does she want? And while Sky is getting into the passengers' heads, she's also getting into ours. Notice how almost every time she's repeating after someone who isn't the doctor, she's framed on her own. This doesn't only make filming easier because, this way she doesn't have to actually repeat what everyone is saying. It also helps visualize the separation from Sky and the rest of the cast. She's something else. She doesn't belong with them, but also she's always present. Tension never resolved. So after all of that, when the hostess looks at the doctor and us, the audience, dead in the eye, and says,
We should throw her out.
I'm not surprised, but that makes it worse, doesn't it? Like, I can understand why they got to that point where they want to kill this thing, this person who they don't understand. But that doesn't make it right, does it? Well, the Doctor has always been the type of character who thinks that every life is sacred and will do anything to not turn to violence. So instead, he says that they should try to communicate and understand this being, not kill it. And just look at this shot. Yes, Sky is supposed to be the monster of the episode, but look at how this shot makes it clear that she's still flesh and blood, while the hostess looks almost ghastly as she proposes to kill her. I have no real analysis here. It just looks beautiful and kinda creepy. The Doctor looks at these ordinary people right in the eye and asks them straight up, are they able to kill another person? But the hostess, Cliff and Val all agree that they should kill Sky. Jethro, the professor, and the Doctor, however, are not so sure, and unlike what the Doctor says,
There is no vote!
Vivi actually breaks the tie and says that they should kill her, not because she has any reason to believe Sky is dangerous, but because she's afraid and wants to feel safe. There's this video on the TED YouTube channel. Yeah, I know it seems unrelated, but stay with me, okay? That shows that to create a movement, the founder is not the most important person. Instead, the most important person is the first follower. The person who says that this unusual idea is not only socially acceptable, but actually desirable. Of course, in that video they use a silly dance, but here it's an execution. Even though the hostess is the first one to propose killing Sky, it's not until Val and Cliff show their support that it becomes a real possibility. Because now, the idea is not only out there, but accepted. It creates this very interesting tension, as the Doctor is the main character of the show, he's Doctor Who, but he's quickly losing the room as the other passengers start to give in to their uglier survival instincts. The reason why the Doctor's attempts fail is because he's just as lost as they are. He doesn't understand this thing, which is a rarity for Doctor Who. He's usually several steps ahead from the human characters, but here, he's guessing as much as them. But he's self-aware enough not to give in to the paranoia. Also, just look at this. While the Doctor is looking at the rest of them, they have to be constantly reminded that there is something unexplainable just a couple of meters away, mocking them in a way she shouldn't be able to, watching them the same way a predator watches its prey, and this Doctor wants to spare her? How dare he? So that's what happens. Now everyone is against the Doctor. They want to know who he really is, but when he gives them his usual fake answers, they see through him. Or maybe they're just convinced he'll say lies before he opens his mouth. Interestingly enough, when the Doctor describes himself as a traveler, Val is quick to ask him,
Like an immigrant.
revealing that maybe this deep fear of unwelcome strangers goes a little further than just unexplainable beings, and suddenly all of that pent-up frustration and fear is no longer targeted at Sky. Now it's the Doctor who is a strange menace to this community.
How did you know what to do? Because I'm clever! I see.
The next step is as logical as it's cruel.
Do you mean we throw him out as well?
If you have to.
The Doctor's usual charm is again useless. The only thing that gets everyone to shut up is, once again, Sky, because she's changed again. She's no longer repeating after everyone. Now, she's only repeating after the doctor. The doctor theorizes that he's being targeted because he's the smartest person in the room. Similarly, Jethro said that it originally went for Sky because she was the most psychologically unstable, and maybe that's why it went for Sky. But I think that the doctor is being targeted, yes, because he managed to get in everybody's bad side, but also he's alone. Once again, the Cliffs are a family, and the professor and Didi have probably known each other for years. The doctor is this weird stranger that no one has a reason to trust, no one who can vouch for his good intentions, and no one who will miss him when he's gone. As the doctor approaches Sky, he essentially finishes what she started. He separates himself from the rest of the passengers by turning away from them. Like the script says, it's easier to blame him when they don't have to look at him. The doctor tries to reason with Sky to no avail, trying to understand and communicate with her, to offer some peaceful way out.
Do we have a deal?
Now this completely changes the dynamic of the episode. From now on, the Doctor is no longer able to be the same proactive character he's always been. I mean, how could he? He's unable to move and unable to speak anything other than what Sky is saying, and thus, Sky takes control of the group. I really like how Sky starts speaking slowly and unnaturally.
I think it's letting me go.
It has a very eerie vibe, but it gets faster as she grows in strength. Also, I love how her standing up reveals the Doctor's terrified face, the smartest man in the universe, and he's powerless to do anything to stop her. Another cool directing trick this episode is this shot. With the character placement, it's pretty clear that this is a mirror shot of the scene where Sky is backing away, with the Doctor and Sky switching places. And while Sky turned her back to us, the Doctor is doing the opposite, letting us feel the fear he's going through as the rest of the passengers start to see him as the new host to the entity. Just look at how Sky is drenched in light here. She takes on an almost angelic look, really selling the idea that she's now this false prophet to these people. Like, look at Cliff there in the background. He's basically praying to his new god, and this god is demanding a blood sacrifice. But there is someone who doesn't believe in Sky's word. Didi, the shy but smart girl. She actually sees through the lies and tries to make them understand, but at this point, these people don't want reason or logic. They want the Doctor dead, because the Doctor is different, because he doesn't belong. And if Didi protests, well...
It'll be you next.
Going back a little bit, take a look at this scene.
We should throw him out.
Don't just talk about it, just you're useless. Do something.
I think it's so creepy that Val doesn't drop her sitcom-y, nagging wife archetype here. Like, Cliff himself looks so goofy trying to carry the Doctor, and when he gets the professor's help, he's just as incompetent. They generally look the way your neighbors or your boss would look killing someone, and that's what makes it disturbing instead of comedic. These people never became monsters. They were always capable of this. All it took was the right circumstances. The worst part is when Cliff orders Jethro to help him. All throughout the episode, Jethro has been shown as being smart and inquisitive.
Doctor. I know.
Which is why it's so sad when he seems to fall for Sky's trap.
Jethro, it's let her go, hasn't it?
I think so, yeah.
But when you look at him here, it's clear that above all else, Jethro is a child. A scared child who wants this to be over. So he grabs the Doctor's legs and helps his father. All the while, Didi cries in the corner, quoting the script again, her moment has come, and she failed. And then it starts to mock the Doctor. It starts using the words that he used earlier in the episode.
Oh, I can't wait. Allons-y.
But at this point, no one is listening. No one cares. All they want is to kill him until...
She's taken his life.
It's gone. It's gone. It's gone. It's gone. It's gone. It's gone.
I want you to look at the faces on these people. These are the faces of people realizing what they've done, what they became, and what they were about to do. Well, except for one.
I said it was her.
And I just have no words for how angry I get at this human being every time I watch this episode. After all that happened, all she cares about is to hide her involvement and to be seen as morally correct. The lack of self-reflection makes me angry because it's the most human reaction possible. We ignore what's wrong with us and the world around us, and sometimes that's disgusting. 20 minutes later and the rescue ship is about to arrive. And looking at this scene, it's pretty clear that no one has spoken to each other in those 20 minutes, just left alone to try to rationalize everything that went down. But also look at how they're sitting. Didi and the professor are as far away from each other as possible, Val in the back, and Cliff is closer to Jethro but in no way together. All of the social structures in this episode have been utterly broken by these events. These people will never look at each other the same now that they know what they themselves and each other are capable of. And of course, the Doctor, just like the start, is alone. Going back for a second, I might be alone on this, but every time I watch this episode I sort of forget that the hostess is a person. Maybe because she has the least outlandish reaction most of the time, or maybe because the first impression we get is her spewing corporate talk. But whatever it is, I always feel like she's not as strong as presence as the rest of the cast. Just like they did with Sky and the Doctor, I sort of dehumanize her by not acknowledging her. But she sacrificed herself for these people. It makes me think...
The hostess. What was her name?
I don't know.
And then, well, that's it. The Doctor comes back to his companion of the season, who tries to console him, and then the episode ends. At the start of the video, I talk about how a standalone story is better for horror, and I think that the lackluster ending in a way proves this. There is no big bombastic twist reveal or explanation at the end, just pain and trauma. And then the credits roll and life goes on. It just ends because in life, nothing ends. It just continues. So yeah, that's Midnight. What I think is the scariest episode of Doctor Who and television. Of course, if you have an episode you think is scarier, let me know in the comments. Also, if you're still watching at this point, thanks a lot. And please consider giving the video a like and maybe subscribe if you would like to see more. But more importantly, have a nice day.